Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I'm going to share with you a clip from a recent live event where myself and TNA leader, co-leader Cole Skur are going to be hanging out, and we're actually going to talk about the proposal that will deploy DAO resources to hire Clayboyn. I am for this proposal, but today I want to talk about ways we could fund it. I want to try and get creative. I also want to discuss why I think it's important that we have a governance proposed project manager, because I actually see $5.5 million sitting still doing nothing. And if there was a driver that could facilitate and think through and strategize the application of those resources, we would benefit. So I'm for it, but I hope you'll stick around and listen to this. We've got 4 days left at the time of recording. Stick around, stay tuned. Have an amazing day, guys. God bless. I saw a comment that I wanted to hear your thoughts on, because I was thinking the same thing recently. So we know that. Let's go first. Let's give some framing here. There's a new proposal coming through. And guys, by the way, we've been on for about an hour. If you are live and you're enjoying the content, please drop the thumbs up. And if you're just getting here, I'm hanging out with Cole Skur. He's from Time and Attention. And we're talking Splinterlands. But right now, Cole Skur, I want to mention there's the proposal up now for hire Clayboyn as a DAO community project manager. I don't know where you land on this. Maybe that's a part of the conversation. I did say yes, and I said yes.
Yes, also.
Okay. The topic I want to talk about is not so much whether we should or shouldn't. It's more like there's a comment I saw here. Let's see. Alex Toro goes off topic. Hey, do you know what I thought might be a good idea? If we took 300,000 from the DAO and put it into HBD and then put it into savings for 20%. And for those who don't know, let's go over to Hive. Hive has, so when you make rewards for posting on Hive, you could get paid in Hive backed dollar and HP, which is Hive power. And I've got some Hive backed dollar there. And I personally, like others, will put my Hive backed dollars into savings. And there's a 20% transfer to savings here. I can go max. And then there's a 20% interest rate or on those savings, or inflation if you want. It says balances subject to 3-day withdrawal, waiting period, HBD interest at 20% APR as voted by the witnesses. And so what he's suggesting is that we take some of those assets that are sitting in an account doing nothing, and we put them to work. And I could see pros and cons for this. One, we would be buying HBD, which is not always a true stable coin. Two, we would be buying someone else's stable coin. DEC is supposed to be a stable coin. If we're liquidating some of our assets to buy HBD, I don't know if that's going to help our community directly, but I do like the idea of putting it to work. I wonder what your thoughts are, Cole Skur, about either this or somehow other or another putting that money to work.
First off, you have to sell the assets from the DAO. So like that selling pressure out there on the market might not be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the 20%, that's awesome. I like diversifying the DAO, but it's just that initial selling pressure that worries me.
Yeah.
That I feel like, we're going to have to wait a little bit until we get a little bit larger player base. Mm-hmm. And then we should kind of set up like a regular sell schedule.
Yeah.
So that everybody knows, kind of like with the whole SEC and the XRP thing, and that CEO, Brian or whatever, that had to sell all of his XRP.
Yeah.
And everybody in the world knew there was 1 million XRP on the 20th every month.
Yeah.
Like that sell pressure scares me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to diversify the DAO into other stable coins.
Mm-hmm. And this is a quote unquote stable coin. I say that, just not to throw shade, but just to really be clear that like, this is not. Yeah. These are, I don't actually know the code of how HBD works, but as you can see, we've got quite a bit of volatility. Everything all the way up here from $2.20 per, all the way down into here, which was 69 cents. That stings. If you got 300 grand in there and it loses 30%, that stings.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and I hear you about the sell pressure and liquidating those assets, and we would be selling, I think, DEC, SPS, and then there's others. There's some. If we look at the blog post where Matt actually proposes that they do this, he says in here some numbers. I wonder if I can find it. So he wants to give
If
him.
anything, I would just go with like some type of regular schedule that was small at the beginning.
So
That,
check.
you know, we sell a million DEC every week, and
Mhm.
then we sell 5 million DEC every week, and then, you know, like, start slow and grow, but like something on a regular schedule everybody can see.
Yeah, I like that. Definitely don't like the idea of, here's the keys to the castle and sell it while you see fit. I'd rather it be proceduralized. But this is interesting from a cost perspective. He says about Clayboyn, $60,000 salary, which he's referring to, is being offered as a for the role. It comes to only about 4% of the non-Splinterlands funds that the DAO currently has, which is to say
Right.
that the DAO has like quite a bit of non-Splinterlands funds that we theoretically could sell. I don't know the math quickly enough, but if 60K is 4%, we're over 600K. We're probably
Yeah.
$1 million worth of non-Splinterlands assets that we could liquidate to do something like that. And I do see value in it. I see to myself like Hive, the extent to it. Now we have a different audience. Like it's not as if we support Hive, that will see a direct benefit to Splinterlands in the sense of if Hive thrives, that we'll get new players in our game. That I don't see a connection exactly there, because there are people who play Hive or use Hive that don't play our game.
Right.
But I definitely like, this. I do think Hive's not going anywhere. I do think it's interesting and exciting that there is a 20% APR. I do think even if there was volatility on the HBD, this could be valuable. But I guess where I would land is I would rather them buy and hold DC than, which is a proposal that I've seen Bulldog put through, and I supported both times. And I know not everybody does. But what are your thoughts on that? About, because right now we're talking about putting it into HBD because we want to have a stable coin with some earning opportunity. But what about buying DEC and putting it into, first of all, what do you think about buying and holding DEC? Because we want to create buying pressure on DEC.
Well, I mean, I would almost like the DAO to burn a percentage of the DEC it holds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if it was collecting DC, I would like to see it just burn it right away. I'm looking at the Dow Treasury report right now. There's 5.4 million in Splinterlands assets and 1.5 million in non-Splinterlands assets.
Can you drop that in
So,
Discord? I
like,
want to pull that up.
yeah, for sure. This one is from the 23rd, I guess.
Okay. Boom. So I actually have never looked at this. I didn't even know.
They do this DAO report. It's pretty cool that they started doing this, and it goes through. It's got a lot of details here. 1.977. So just shy of 2,000 HBD in there already.
Cool, man. And it's probably just sitting there. See, we do need. This is why I kind of am for Clayboyn or somebody being, because the truth is we don't even know. Like most of us don't even know what's going on, let alone what our options are, and then what would be the best of those options. It really you need somebody with a bit of guidance and thoughtfulness and understanding within the ecosystem to come forward with good ideas. So I'm for him being in it, is where I landed.
Yep, I voted yes also.
Yeah.
It's something that's needed. Like, even if he's not the best, it's a start.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it. Like, if he's not the best one for the job, we'll find that out in a few months, but we need somebody in there to, like, because right now it's a business with no leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is
It's literally,
kind of the way I see
it's
it.
literally a business with like we have an audience of people that can vote into it with our SPS stake, but then who comes up with the great ideas for the community to consider? Yes, decentralized governance can allow us individually to bring ideas forward and then debate those, and that can be very productive and valuable. But it absolutely makes sense to have some person attempting to be a visionary over it. And that would be an interesting job to even have. Like, as I start to think about that, like, it'd be something that, I would love to see the right hands having access to that. Anyways, let's put it that way. I love that we can fire him through proposal. He can quit. I love that. I would also say,
I think it's a good first choice too. That he's been kind of working behind the scenes a little bit and kind of doing some of the grunt work kind of stuff of like, watching everybody in Mav chat just cry about stuff all day long.
yeah.
And, like, I think he's coming from a good place that he could do really good at this. And it could be really awesome that we have someone that knows how to communicate with Matt and, the rest of the team. And, Steel is just one of us.
Oh, totally. Something that I think about, you were saying deleting DEC. There's $672,000 worth of DEC in this account. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of DEC. I think it's the largest holder of DEC now anywhere.
So
It's the DAO.
So 600, hang on, 100,000 million. So this is like, this might literally be, because we talked about how there's like, I think there's about 4.5 billion DEC that's theoretically available, and land could conceivably eat 7, but that's if you really fully activate land. So but then the 4 point whatever billion that exist of DEC are not truly available as indicated right here. Like, this is almost a billion DEC, well, 3/4 of a billion that are not going to end up in land. They're not going to end up spent on Rift Watcher packs. They're only going to be used how we see fit. And so, right there, you now bring your total down to essentially 3.5 billion, I mean, which is a huge difference in terms of how we understand how easy it could be to reach peg and keep there.
Yeah, to flip that switch.
Yeah. One thing that go on.
It's just we're really close because that liquid DEC is lower and lower every day. Like, it just happened in the last couple of weeks that the DAO became the largest holder.
Look at this. DEC supply just do. And then, yeah, we had that pop, but then we're back on our way back down here. So we're just below 4.6 billion. And like I just said, 750,000 belong to the DAO itself. Now, from the perspective of utilizing that and burning that even, I wonder if, again, from the perspective of trying to get an ongoing revenue stream, because I keep coming back to it, we could use these funds to do so. I wonder if maybe we need to be putting it into a liquidity pool. And I know liquidity providers would hate this because it's going to diminish their returns, but you could put a DEC BUSD and start collecting APR. Now, it wouldn't be...
It's going to need to go somewhere. We can't just let it keep growing and sitting.
Yeah. And then what I think is, heck, you could burn half of that reward if you want. Like, we would be essentially soaking up potential DEC that could go into the marketplace, if not into us, into the marketplace. Then it ends up in the DAO, and the DAO has a mandate to burn half of it. And so, yes, we're profiting. Yes, we're using the resource, but we're also essentially soaking up what would be liquid DEC. What do you think about that?
I like that. I think burning a small amount all the time would be really cool.
Yeah, because it's gonna end up in the marketplace if we don't step in here and support this, and not just this one, but I mean this one and really this one or any of the DEC pairs. It's going to I mean, if you went DEC swap Hive, you could transfer your Hive into HBD and then do staking on the Hive. You see, like, there's just ideas upon ideas upon ideas about how we could generate revenue with these resources, literally millions of dollars, $5 million in that DAO. Where is it? You showed me the number right now, $5.5 million. And I want to say right now, I think everybody in the chat knows this, but if the total funds in the DAO are $5.5 million, we all need to know that this is one of the reasons why SPS is an interesting hold, because we as SPS holders have keys to this bank account. That's huge.
Yeah, and I mean the DAO is just, I mean, it gets bigger every day. It's actually a very powerful structure as it is, and if we don't get someone in there to start kind of just the whole thing of making our proposals work, you know, him helping people write proposals is a very important thing, even though it's so simple. You know, just because, like, we can't keep having a bunch of proposals that are written poorly and don't pass. You know, we need them to be written in a way that we all like before they even kind of go up for a vote, that we can kind of hash that stuff out. And with him being there, bouncing ideas back and forth all time, I think it's a good thing. I mean, you know, I liked the idea of, you know, Weirdbeard doing it with him, but I think it was pretty late in the game for that idea to happen. So I voted yes, and I just think we need something, and something's better than nothing at this point.
Yeah, and it's not a permanent. We're not married.
Right.
Yeah. $60,000 annually, $5,000 per month. You paid in USDT tokens, and then it says somewhere members of the DAO would be free to submit a proposal to terminate this position for any reason. And I don't suspect that's going to be you know what I mean? That'll, if there's legitimate reason for it, that's going to happen.
I did hear that Matt lowered the threshold for that vote also. And if a proposal did come up to fire him, it would only be 50% needed.
Assuming the proposal passes, any future proposals to end this contract will be a 50 plus majority vote to pass rather than the typical 66. Right, that's great.
Yep.
That's really great. This will help reduce the risk of the DAO accepting a proposal and ensure that 33% minority cannot keep the contract in place if the majority of SPS stakeholders want it to end. I love that.
Yep. Yeah, I really like that part too. That kind of made it a no-brainer yes vote for me.
Cool. Really cool. I didn't know that. I didn't actually read that factor, so I'm glad. What pushed me over the edge was just simply the idea of, okay, first of all, it's only 4% of the non-Splinterlands assets. That actually blew my mind. I was like, wow, we have that much money in there. And then secondly, it was like just what we talked about with, like, there's actually a million ways you could put that money to work. $5.5 million. I want to see that. I want to see that utilized. I want to see it leveraged for our gain, because the gain of the DAO is the gain of the game. It actually would help the economy, will help the players, will help the, you know, attract new eyes. Like it's just a win-win-win-win-win if we do it well. But it's hard to do it well without a pilot.
Right.
Yeah.